Hello, I'm Bob Chesney, and we're here at a major trade show. And the reason we're making this short video is because as we exhibited, we couldn't help but notice how the traffic was grossly misrepresented by the exhibitor. So what else is new? They promised thousands and thousands of prospects, and it wound up to be 10% of the prospects. But that's okay. We had an enormously successful show. And what we want to pass on to you is how we did it and how you can do it as well. Now, there's a couple reasons behind our motive here. Number one is we are a growing business, a lot like yours. Now, we're not talking to you mega million, billion-dollar companies who've got island displays and thousands of people. We're talking to the growing company who puts up a lot of money to come to the trade show, and no matter what happens, every time you turn around, somebody's got their hands in your pocket and they're charging you for this and that and this and that and more and more. And at the end of the day, you say, where was the traffic? Well, there's an old expression. When traffic is good, get all the business you can. When traffic is lousy, get all of it. And that's what we're going to talk to you about. Now, I'm going to introduce my colleague and partner, John Sarver. Dr. John Sarver, if you know anything about the business world and you've ever heard the name Tony Robbins, Chet Holmes, John Maxwell, this is the man who combines all of those skills to bring marketing expertise to companies just like yours. So what we're going to share are the 10 biggest mistakes that exhibitors make at a trade show and how you can prevent them even though you're working on a small budget. Now, when I say small budget, I can tell you, coming to any trade show is not cheap. But compared to these mega million-dollar companies who've got island displays and bringing tons of people, this is a small piece of the pie. We want to help you to be successful. Now, we can do this a couple ways. Number one, we want to educate you. We want to show you what we did. It's an open book. And John will explain why I'm wearing this ridiculous doctor's outfit. Because one of the things that's very important, and John will go into great detail on this, is you gotta create buzz. Otherwise, you're just a number at the trade show, and I guarantee you, you'll be going home saying, wow, I don't think I want to do that again. All we came away with is a few leads. We're gonna change that for you. So enjoy. John is now gonna talk about our first mistake and how to correct it.
Me mind on fire, me soul on fire, feeling hot, hot, hot. What the people all around me feeling hot, hot, hot.
No pre-show marketing. Now the antidote is this. The attendance list is always available from the show in some form. So you got to look for it, find it, it's there. Now what do you do with it? You got video email, you got email, postcards. You got a phone call that you can give to the people with the booth number and the preview of what you'll be showing. Why do you want to do that? Because you want to plant the seed for them to come over to your booth. Now make sure that there's a gift for responding when they show up. We use chocolate. It's an impulse kind of a gift. People want it. They come over. It allows us to communicate and connect, especially when we show them how to chip it. So that's a good way to make sure that you get people to show up, you connect with them, and then you can lead them through the funnel. Obviously, if you're a big company, you got those tremendously big booths, you're not interested in what we have to say. You've got traffic coming in from all sides. But if you're a small company, you get a 10 by 10, how are you going to maximize that? Well, let me give you a few hints. Number one, make sure that the table is not blocking you and the client. You want your booth open. You want it accessible. You want to bring them in for an impulse so you're able to communicate with them. When you have a table out in the front, it sets a barrier. That makes you the salesperson, the other person the one buying from you, it puts them on the defensive. Now, one technique that we do is we give away chocolate, but we make you chisel for the chocolate. So literally, we have to put it in your hand, we connect with you, we show you how to do it, all the while we're building rapport. As we build the rapport and we hand off then to our survey, which is next, we've got a relationship. Now all of a sudden we're moving them through the funnel. One of the big keys that we have is called reciprocal marketing. And that is simply where we bring somebody in and then we give them the chocolate, they chisel it out, and then they ask us, what are you doing? As opposed to, here's what we're doing, here's what we're doing, here's what we're doing. It's completely different. It invites a relationship.
Chance and feel it hot, hot, hot. Keep up the spirit. Come on, let's do it. Feel it hot, hot, hot. It's in the
So one of the issues we have is you come to a show, you've done it yourself, and you're moving through the show as fast as you possibly can. Everything that we typically do is designed to hit the 3%. And that means only if somebody is looking for what you're buying are they even going to be interested. Now, how are you going to maximize your investment in a trade show? You've got to create buzz. You've got to do something differently. You have to stand out. We've had people over and over again come to our booth and say that you've stood out. You've done something that nobody else has done. Simple. We did a doctor's thing. And we dressed it all out. You can remember our beautiful nurse. You can remember that we were dressed as doctors. And then we had a buzz with the chocolate. We brought them in, and it was an impulse. Everybody likes chocolate. And they were in control. They could take as much or little as they want. And that is the difference. When you create buzz, you build the funnel, you bring them in, you'll have tremendous results.
It's in the air, celebration time. Music sweet, captivate your mind.
Now you got a gaff in the aisles. And what does that mean? Fish don't jump in the boat. They got to get in the net first. So what you do is you go out there and you get them. There's a lot of examples of where our model went literally walking with people, engaging them in conversation, bringing them back. They check out the chocolate. They've got to chunk it themselves, invites conversation, moves them over to the survey that we had, and all of a sudden, we've got a relationship. We went out a lot of times, myself, and I got in the middle aisle and said, hey, would you like some chocolate? All of a sudden they pay attention, they look at the chocolate and realize it's not Hershey Kisses, but it's something unique, and we heard the word wow all the time. That's exactly what you want to do. Gaff, get in the aisles, make it happen.
Yeah, feeling hot, hot, hot. Feeling hot, hot, hot.
Booth sales flow. Now, how many of you been to a booth where you see a ton of people all standing around, kind of looking to nail you like a used car salesperson? They've taken their family, their friends, their lovers, everybody's there, and you feel overwhelmed. Well, we've got a better approach. We call it the team handoff. The first thing we do is our model invites them in to the chocolate. They got to do something about it. All of a sudden, one of us comes over, starts to engage them. Doctor, can you tell me how your practice is doing? All of a sudden, we lead into a discussion, which goes to the survey. The survey then leads to the next step, which is the close. Normally, I'll bring my partner in. And all of a sudden, you've had a handoff, you've had a relationship, you've had that kind of connection that will lead a prospect to a buyer. So, as a past leading coach for Tony Robbins, we learned this, that only pain can create the need for a change. That's why we use this doctor thing, which you see, and we use the slogan, you don't have to be bad to be better. Then we hand off to the closer, who shares all the intel, moves the prospect through the sales funnel, and what do you know? You have a client.
People in the party, hot, hot, hot. They come to the party, know what they got. They come to the party, know what they got. I'm hot, you're hot, he's hot, she's hot.
Show special. Take any show, and I walked around here, and you'll find that less than 10% of you have a show special. What a show special does is it moves you through the funnel. It makes a suspect into a prospect, moves you into a relationship, and any sale moves somebody into a client. Now, there's more examples than I can count, where a small sale leads to a relationship, and a relationship leads to a bigger sale. So think funnel, think of a way to hook them, and move them through that process.
How you feeling? How you feeling? How you feeling?
Now, here's one of my favorite, and that is getting people back to the booth. How do you do that to build that rapport and advance the sales process? Well, you have the chocolate, you have the You have the tool, and what do? You got the impulse. People coming back during lunch, before dinner, all day. We had countless people come back over and over again. And what did we do? We fed their addiction to chocolate. Next one is follow-up. Now I hear this from clients all the time. They went to a trade show. I asked them, how did you do? They said, we got a lot of leads. We're following up for months and months. Well, let me give you a little secret. Get the leads, get on an iJot, follow them up now. During the event, right after the event, and drip follow-ups. Not only that, but you're gonna wanna get some callers to make actual calls to your hottest prospects. You gotta make that commitment to drive in and do it, or you won't be able to convert them. Now, by the day after the show ends, they're really faint memories. And after weeks, they can't even remember anything about you. So you gotta drip, you gotta be consistent, and you gotta remind them who you are. Now, here's how we follow up. We test them during the show to invite them back for more chocolate. We have many of you come back. Now, you can't text an office number, so the trade show lead capture system is marginally effective, if at all. So what we do is we coach and get cell numbers because we're giving them chocolate. And then that night, they get a video email thanking them for stopping by, and then we invite them back for more chocolate. Now the next day, they get another video email putting a deadline on the trade show special. By now we're family, or we're out. Now we know all about the stats that it takes 9 or more touches before they can take you seriously. That's because you're doing it by email or cold calling. The trade show and chocolate changes the equation. We either have a relationship or we don't. Now, when we've earned the right to ask, where do we stand, then we can get to the next step. Staffing. So the question is, a typical small company, you're doing the 10 by 10. How many staff do you need? We did this entire show with 3 of us. And not only that, but Bob and I, who would not pretend to be as good looking as our model, were able to connect with as many people when she was on break as when she was here. Why? Because we had the key elements that drew in and attracted people. We had impulse, we had something they wanted, we had something that they would want to come back for often, and we have relationship. Put it all together, you turn a suspect into a prospect into a client. Let's talk about ROI. Now I know what most of us want to do. We want to go to the show, we look at what we invested, we got to get at least 3 or 4 times that amount of business back, and bada bing, we made it. But there's a lot more to look at in that. And that is, are you actually making suspects into prospects into clients? And this could take a smaller hook, working a relationship over time, and then seeing that prosper way down the line. Now you got to do that by hitting the simple techniques that are so important to make this happen. You've got to be consistent in your follow-up. You've got to be consistent in your application. And the things that we have taught you all the way from this series are vital in making this happen so you can maximize your investment and get the most out of it.
I trust you found value from the information that Dr. John Sarver has shared with you. Now it's your opportunity to either dismiss the whole idea as a bunch of foolishness, a bunch of grown adults dressed up as doctors and nurses and giving away chocolate, but I can tell you we are laughing all the way to the bank. We had an enormously successful show, and we think you can do the same thing. Now, you can use 1, 2, or all 10 of these mistakes and the antidote for them, and most importantly, put them together and you've really got something special. Now, many of you are thinking, oh, these are great ideas, but how am I ever going to get my people to do them? Well, that's where we come in. We'd like to help you. We're the experts, and if you need that help, just give us a call and let's talk about your next trade show and how we can partner and help you make it an enormous success. So again, I want to thank you for your kind attention, even watching the video. I trust that you got value. Your next step, if you're halfway serious about making money at a trade show, give us a call so we can have a conversation. Thank you for watching.